Man, am I the only one that's just over it with the whole thing of like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey dating or all of that stuff? Like, oh my God. Like, even ESPN was covering it. And honestly, like, I get it. Taylor Swift is, Taylor Swift. And like, no, I mean, she is Taylor Swift, but like, there's no need to like cover it on like every sports show just because it's like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey. But whatever. I guess that's the society that we live in. We live in a society. Ha. Um. Anyway, what's up? Welcome to the Pretty Decent Podcast, the podcast that barely meets expectations. My name is Javier, and I'll be your host. So relax, grab some snacks, and enjoy. All right, now let's get to the episode. What's up? It's been a while. It's been a while. I know. Okay, I'm aware that it's been over 2 weeks, and I said that I was gonna go into bi-weekly episodes, all that stuff, but I was originally planning on recording on my birthday and then put an episode before the marathon. But then that episode was more mid than usual. So I was like, I'm not really feeling it. So I'm just going to wait until the marathon, and then that way, like, the next episode will be my birthday slash marathon, all that stuff. And then my original plan was to record on Monday, the day I got back from Quad Cities, but I was too tired, and the marathon did not go how I was expecting it or how I was hoping it would go. So I was, dealing with all of that. So I was like, okay, let me compose myself, gather all my thoughts. Like, it's been 5 days since the marathon. Like, I actually like analyzed everything and, thought about it, meditated on it and everything. And then I'm like, okay, so that it's not an irrational episode, and, like, I actually digest and have clear thoughts as to what I'm going to talk about and all that stuff. So here we are. I hope you're having a great day so far. This will probably come out on a weekend or on Monday. I still don't know yet. So happy whatever day you're listening on it. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're enjoying the cooler weather that we've been having lately. And yeah, it is true. The rumors are indeed true. I did turn 23 last Thursday. Well, I can't just say last Thursday. On September 21st, the 21st night of September. Yeah, that whole song, it's made about me, like Earth, Wind, and Fire decided, you know what? I don't know how old that song is, but, it was like, in the year 2000, a handsome young man is going to be born on this day, and this song is for him. And then, they wrote September. So, but yeah, thank you for all the birthday wishes. If you wished me a happy birthday, I love you. You're amazing. You're great. If you didn't, you're the worst. And do better next year, okay? Because it's my birthday, and everyone needs to treat me good on my birthday. And September 21st is all about me. And if you know someone else whose birthday is September 21st, tell them they shouldn't celebrate it because it's my birthday. It's my day. No one can take it away from me, okay? So yeah, please do me that favor. If you do so, you'd be the best. You'd be the best. And I will love you forever. And yeah, it was a very, it's typical birthday. I feel like as an adult, the older you get, birthdays just are more of like every other day. It's just like the routine and all that stuff. I remember when I was a kid, birthdays were so much fun because my birthday is 2 days before my second oldest brother's birthday. So all our birthdays would be that we would have the same party. Obviously, we would have our own cake and our own piñatas and all that stuff. So it would be like a bunch of people in the parties. Like you'd have my friends, and then he would have his friends, and then like the common friends that we have, like the family and all that stuff. So it would be like those parties in Pizza Hut would be popping. Because I remember back in the day before everyone became an iPad kid. I mean, honestly, I feel like I was the OG iPad kid with the Game Boy and the DS, because I remember I would take my video games to the restaurants and everything. So I really can't judge when I see an iPad kid out in public, because I'm like, I walked so today's iPad kids could run. But yeah, and like I feel like it's been this was my second birthday as a full-on adult, living on my own and like doing my own stuff and everything. And yeah, it's just like a regular old day, like no big parties or whatever. Like I don't have time, I don't have the energy. It was a stressful week with the marathon. Like I hadn't realized how anxious and nervous I was about the marathon, that as soon as I was done with the marathon, I think I checked like my average heart rate. I compared my average heart rate the 2 weeks prior to the marathon, and then like the next few days after the marathon. And like before the marathon, it was at like 70, 75, which is like not typical for me unless I'm sick and very stressed. But as soon as, like after the marathon, my heart rate has been at like an average of like 55, 60, which is normal considering I'm still sick and my lungs are like, still recovering and everything from being sick for like the past month. But yeah, I mean, it was just, like the typical work day, going in, dealing with stuff that comes into the office, and then just doing it, and then that's about it. I did kind of somewhat celebrate it with my girlfriend on Friday. Well, on September 22nd, we went out to dinner, and she baked me a cake, and it was very good because I hadn't had tres leches in such a long time. And I took the first bite, and when I tell you, I was like, I'm about to buzz. Oh my God. It was so good. It had been a long time since I had had tres leches, and it was just so good, man. It was so delicious. I just had some before recording, and like now I'm kind of sleepy because I had like 2 pieces, and now I'm like the sugar is like, but pulling through, and yeah, so there's a lot of stuff has happened in the past 3 weeks that I kind of want to cover before diving into the marathon. But honestly, let's just get straight to the marathon because I have a lot of thoughts about that. So, if you didn't know, I did a marathon on September 24th, 2023. It was a Sunday. It was 5 days as of this recording, because today is September 29. It's a Friday, September 29, which is crazy because September just flew by. And honestly, I was very excited for the marathon when I first started training, because I'm like, oh, like a marathon. Like I just kept going back to the excitement I felt when I did my first one. Sorry. When I did my first marathon, and just like the energy and the environment of being in a race and everything was just so much fun. And just I liked the focus that I had all throughout training, and just my determination to I set a goal, and I take the required steps to go through it, to achieve it. And I was like, I want that feeling again. Like I like knowing that I'm putting in my effort and all of my hard work, and my energy into something that's going to make it worth it, and then that it's going to make me feel better, and then I'll want to keep doing it more and more. But as training started, because I kind of started training a little bit early, I did the half marathon where I broke my personal best, and I set a new personal best in the half marathon. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, like I wasn't even, I hadn't even been training for a half marathon, and I like set a personal best with ease. Like, not to brag or anything, but I'm like, I'm feeling great. Like if I keep this up and like my focus is everything goes my way, I should be able to set a personal best for my next marathon. And so I started training. I got everything ready, planned out the entire training for like the next 5 months, I think, because April is I pretty much started in May, and May is the 5th month. Yeah, for like the next 4 or 5 months, like I had everything planned out. Like these are gonna be my runs. This is what I'm gonna do. XYZ, all that stuff. And then the first month, great, perfect. The second month, awesome, perfect. Then once July and August came around, that's when everything started to go sideways, in that it started to get very hot, and it was like I just couldn't run. Work picked up, and I was more stressed all the time. I have no clue what that was. And like it was allergy season for it was allergy season for me. So it was, like figuring out how to work around all of that and adapt, and, sometimes not being able to run as much as I would have wanted to, or sometimes it was not running at all, or sometimes it was like running when I was very tired and all that stuff. So it was like a lot of adapting and everything. And then as the marathon got closer and closer, I started to get very stressed, because I was like, I haven't been able to train as much as I would have wanted to. I haven't been able to put in as much time as I would have wanted to, because, like work has really been very stressful. And like, because of work, I haven't been able to rest as much and run as much as I would have wanted to, because I'm just tired all the time. I've also been prioritizing my personal life, because I'm like, yeah, I would love, obviously, the way that I function is that every time I sign up for a race, I want to set a personal best. And I know that's not right of me, because not every race you're going to be able to set a personal best. Some races are meant to just be for learning and, learning something new, or applying something new, or applying some tactics that you learned and everything. Other races, you're going to be training with the purpose of, okay, this race, I'm going to set this this personal best, and I want to reach this goal, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Some races are just going to be like, let's do it for fun, like, let's do it for the environment, like the adrenaline, the excitement of the event and everything. Because a race is a celebration of all of the hard work that you've put in, that led up to all of the time and energy you spent leading up to that big day. So, and since I signed up, I told myself, I'm like, I just want to do, another marathon, to have another marathon under my belt. It's on my birthday, kind of like to celebrate all that stuff. Because my very first race was a half marathon to celebrate my birthday, because I think I had been running for a year and a half by then. And I was like, I want to do a half marathon. And then like, it was amazing. So I was like, like I like running, I like races. So like, why not, celebrate my birthday with a marathon? So I all along, whenever like I was like nervous, it's like, I won't be able to perform as well as good as I would have wanted to, all that stuff. And I would always tell myself and have to be like, hey, you're doing it for fun. You're not training with the purpose of setting a personal best. Like you just, like, because I know I could have done a lot better in the first marathon if I would have changed or done my race plan differently, because I made the mistake of starting too fast and then I slowed down in the second half. Whereas in this one, in pretty much every race that I do from now on, I want to start slower and then progressively pick up the pace. Where and then like I obviously I leave it all out there, but I'm not like struggling to finish it or something like that. Obviously, there are some races that are gonna be like I'm struggling to finish it, because like not every I won't be I know I have to know that I have to learn that I won't be able to control every single thing or every single race, every single run, which is, you can apply that to life, and you have to learn to adapt and manage your effort, where you're going to put all your effort in. Know that the only thing you can really control is your effort and your how much you're going to put into it, and then the outcome just, whatever happens, like you can't control the outcome, you can just control the effort. And a month before the race, I got really sick, and I was really worried, because I'm like, this is when like the long runs are supposed to happen, and like I haven't been able to train my fueling, or I haven't been able to train going the distance, all that stuff. Like I don't really care about time. I just want to know that I can go the distance. And I'm like, yeah, I've done a marathon before, but that was 7, almost 8 months ago. Like like stuff happens, and like I know I'm a smarter runner now, and I'm a stronger runner and everything, but I'm like, I still want to feel somewhat like the reassurance that I can go the distance. And then the closer it got to the race itself, I was more and more stressed and anxious, because I'm like, I just, like I'm going to have people there supporting me. Like I want to, make sure that they didn't waste their time coming all the way here, all that stuff. And like, I'm kind of glad that I met my girlfriend when I did, because she would, whenever I told her like, oh, I'm so anxious about the race, I'm so stressed about the race, she would always tell me like, remember that you signed up to have fun. You didn't sign up to, like set a personal best or, like just race. You signed up because you wanted to have fun, because you enjoy running and you like running, and, you're passionate about running, and you just want to celebrate. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but still, like, I want to do my best. Like I want to leave it all out there and everything. So she kind of gave me like some calm and ease going into the race. And then once, like it was time for the race, I don't think I really showed how anxious and nervous I was the day before. But the morning of, I was very, very nervous, because I'm like, okay, like I could even hear it in my voice. I was like talking very fast, and like my my voice was shaky and everything. Like I'm like, okay, like I could feel myself like hyperventilating, and I'm like, okay, I need to control myself. Like, okay, I know why I'm doing this, like obviously, like in my subconscious, I know that every time I sign up for a race, I'm going to strive for a PB, but it should be where like I'm just going to strive to give it my all and leave it all out there in the course. So like I go to the starting line, and like my two best friends and my girlfriend are there, and I'm like, okay, like like I like they give me all of like my gels and everything, and I'm like, okay, so I'll see you guys at like mile 7. I think the next one was like mile 11, and then mile 13 or something like that, and then like the different mile markers that we're gonna see each other at. And then the entire time I was just telling myself, I'm like, okay, you've done this before. You're enjoy the moment. And like before the race, I was, huddled up with my friends and my girlfriend, and I was like, should I go for the personal best? Like, should I try to break it? And they're like, yeah, but at the same time, like, don't beat yourself up if you don't do it. Like, you've been sick a whole month before the race, and you're still recovering. Like, you're not 100%. So don't beat yourself up if you're not able to, set up a new personal best. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I promise I won't like beat myself up if I don't make it. But I'm like, subconsciously I at least wanted to be able to do it under 4 hours, 4.5 hours. And that was like my goal. Like obviously my first goal was, okay, let's try to our best to replicate the first marathon, the time. My second goal, if that's obviously because like, I need to, something that I've learned this past training camp is learning to adapt and change your goals depending on how things are going. Like, like you gotta know that some goals are unattainable. For example, running in the Olympics. That's an unattainable goal. That's a dream, I'm not saying it's a dream of mine, but like that would be an unattainable goal, or like it's not a realistic goal. Obviously, doing a 4 hour 15 marathon is an attainable goal because I've done it before, and I know that if the conditions would have been ideal and like if I would have been able to do the training and everything as I should have, I would have been able to more than likely set a new personal best and go under the 4:15 mark. So if for example I know I won't make it to 4:15, I'm like, okay, I'll go for 4:30, and if not, then I'll go for 5. Like that. Those were like my marks that try and beat. But if it's not under 5, then the goal is to just finish, because then that means that something really bad happened where I'm just like, okay, if it takes me over 5 hours, then I know in my head I'm like, somehow, some way, I'm gonna crawl. If need be, I'll crawl myself to the finish line, but I will finish this marathon. The only reason I won't finish it is if something doesn't allow me to keep running. But as long as I can keep, moving my feet one in front of the other, I will finish this marathon no matter what happens. And that was my mentality going into it. So, the cannon goes off, and then like we all start running. And for the first 7 miles, I felt perfect. I was going at a good pace where I knew I wasn't, like going too fast. I felt comfortable. I knew I was going fast, but it was a comfortable fast where I know that if I go at this pace right now for the first half of the marathon, I can pick it up in the second half and then like finish, like comfortable and strong, and knowing that I left it all out there. And when I was training for the marathon, I bought a new pair of shoes. And when I went to the store, they were telling me like, they asked me like, oh, like, do you have a race coming up? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna be doing the Quad Cities Marathon. And the lady at the store is like, I've heard that's a very hilly course. Have you been practicing hills and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, not really. Like where I live is very flat, but I might go to Peoria, because I know there's some hills there. So like, like I know I have to do some. I just haven't had the time to do them. And she's like, yeah, like I've heard some friends that haven't been able to finish it because it's so hilly, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, at least it'll be practice for the Boston Marathon. And she's like, oh, like, is that one of your goals? And I'm like, yeah, eventually, like, I want to be able to qualify and, run the marathon, that one. Like, we were talking about running and stuff. So I knew that the marathon was going to be hilly, but I underestimated how hilly the marathon was going to be. Because as soon as I hit the 7 mile mark and I saw my friends and I'm like, hey, I feel great. I feel like I'm going pretty good. Like I was going like 30 seconds. Was it 30 seconds? Yeah, 30 seconds over my I was going 30 seconds ahead of my average mile pace on the first marathon, and I was feeling like I wasn't even giving it my all yet. So like I was just feeling like I was going fast because I know it's like the fast from the shoes, but the effort wasn't like I'm like, doing too much or something like that. And then after the 7 mile mark, we crossed I know probably majority of you don't know where Quad Cities is. Quad Cities is 4 cities, hence the quad. Right? It's 2 cities in Illinois and 2 cities in Iowa. It's Moline and Rock Island in Illinois, and Davenport and Bettendorf in Iowa. So the race, I'm gonna do the map. So I'm gonna be looking here. So the race started here. I'm like as if you guys were looking at the map. So the race started here in Davenport, and then we went up to Moline. No, sorry, it started in Moline, and then we went up to Davenport, and then we went here to Bettendorf, and then we crossed another bridge to go to Rock Island, and then we went to like a military island that's like right here, and then we went back down to Moline. And we crossed the Mississippi. So the bridges were kind of big. So after the 7 mile mark, we started going up the bridge to cross to Davenport. And I'm like, okay, this is the first hill. I know how to tackle hills. I'm like, it's up. The hard thing is going up, and go slower on purpose, and then you're gonna get back those strides that you went slower. You're gonna pick them up in the downhill. Physics, right? And I kept telling myself, I was like, okay, don't worry about the pace. Just focus on going up, and then you'll recover when you go down. The first bridge, perfect. They did like a breeze. I'm like, okay, I just gotta keep this up. Once we're in Davenport, we, go through like the area around the bridge, and then we start going into the neighborhoods, like further into town. The first hill, I was like, okay, knocked it out of the park. We're good. And then I think at that point, between the 7 mile mark and the 9 mile mark or something like that, there was like half-mile long hill, or it's not one of those hills that it's like steep and short. It's like long and like at an angle that you feel like those are the harder hills to do. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is gonna be hard. And I'm like, okay, like I'm going slow and everything, and then like I'm like, okay, there's gonna be a downhill soon. No, it just kept going up, and then eventually like it started going down again. And then I think I saw my friends and my girlfriend at like the 11 mile mark, and then I was like, I think I'm doing good. Like I don't know, like I don't know how I feel. And then after that we started making our way to Bettendorf, and that's when, okay, so like Davenport and Bettendorf, it was like up and down, but at one point it was just like keep going up, and then like a little bit down, and then up again. So that was the worst. And then when we're in Bettendorf, that was like around like the 13 mile mark. That's when it all went downhill, because both of my legs cramped both of my quads cramped at the same time. And I had never felt so much pain in my life. In my 3 years of running, I had never cramped up that bad, where I literally screamed to the top of my lungs. I'm like, and I'm like, I just grabbed both of my quads, and I'm like, it felt like I don't even know how to replicate that pain. It was so bad. Like I don't even know how to explain it. It felt like people, they were stabbing me on my legs, and also like shooting at me with BB guns. It just, and that's how it felt. It was so bad, and I was like, oh my God. And then like I would like kind of like stretch a little bit, and I'm like, I don't even know how. Like I started panicking. I'm like, I don't even know how to like, like stretch out a cramp or something. And then I'm like, okay, like we gotta figure this out. I haven't even reached the 13 mile mark. Like come on, like it's too soon for this. Like, and I started panicking, and I'm like, and then like I lost my breathing and everything, and I'm like, okay, Javi, deep breaths, okay. I started analyzing everything why it's happening, and I'm like, okay, it's because of all the uphills you've done. Suck it up, keep going. So like, like I would like walk it off a little bit and then like start running again. And then I'm like, okay, like just take it slow, take it slow. It's okay. Don't worry about the pace. Focus on not being in pain. And then like a few meters afterwards, my calves start cramping up, and I'm like, oh, but like those were like, okay, so I just like stopped, and I'm like, okay, just don't do anything, just it's okay. And then like they went away, and then like I started running again, and then like I could feel like my leg like shaking, my quads, and then I'm like, oh, and it was like, so I like had to like start walking and stuff. And then I saw my friends and my girlfriend like halfway through the 13-mile mark, and then halfway through the 13th mile, and a little bit before the end of the 14th mile, before starting the 14th mile. And I was telling them, I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Both of my legs cramped up, and I still have a long way to go. Like it's only halfway. Like I don't know if I'll be able to do this. And I was visibly upset. And I actually didn't ask them if like I looked upset, but I like my voice, like I could hear. I was like, I was pissed at myself. And like my girlfriend ran a few meters with me, and I was like, hey, like it's okay, like I got it from here. And I was like, she's like, no, like, and she kept running and stuff, and I'm like, hey, like I'll be fine, like just go, go back with my friends and everything. And then so like I kept going, and like for, I want to say easily, like, well, for the rest of the race, almost 3 hours, I was like, I would go for like a few yards, and then both of my quads would cramp up, and then I would have to like walk a little bit, and then walk, and then like once I felt like they were like cooled off, then like I would start running again. But it wasn't even like real running, it was like jogging. Like I think like my pace was like, went from like with the cramps, it went from like a 10:30 pace to like 11 to 12, and then my walking pace was like 17 minutes a mile. And like the entire time I was like, I didn't even have music playing, because I was just like so focused and trying to not feel the pain and just like not cramping up. And like I got so frustrated, like I started like, my eyes started to get watery because of like the frustration. And like normally if I cry, it's out of frustration. I rarely cry because I'm sad, and it was like crying out of frustration and pain. And when we crossing the second bridge was hard. That was very, very hard, because it was just like so long, and it felt forever. And I like walked the entire up, crossing the bridge, like to start crossing the bridge. I walked all of that up, and I'm like, okay, like I'm not even gonna try running this. I'm just gonna walk it up. And then like once we were at the bridge, like I started running a little bit, and then we went down, and I was like, okay, we're in the fourth city now. We're almost there. We just have a quarter left. And then Rock Island, the military island, that was, up until then, it had been a physical battle. Once we went into the military island, that was a mental battle, because I had never been tested mentally so much in my life, to the point where it was like pretty much after I started cramping up, it was a mental battle. But being in that island was the hardest thing I had ever done, because the only people that were on the sidelines, on the sidewalks, were the aid stations. And the aid stations stopped being, like, you could feel that they stopped becoming very prevalent, where it's like it will be like randomly they'll show up and stuff. So it was like, it felt like forever when I would see people, and I just kept seeing like the clock go up and up, but the distance, I felt like the distance, like I wasn't moving at all, and I was just like, like I kept telling myself, I'm like, I gotta finish this. Like I'm not, like I won't be able to live with myself if I don't finish this marathon, knowing that people came and supported me, and making the effort to see me at different mile marks and stuff. And the entire time I'm like, you've made it this far, you can go a little bit further, come on, like, just like telling myself like I could do it and everything. Like I started thinking about who I was running for and like why I was running and everything. Like I've never done it really for myself. I always try and do it for other people, in the sense of like to motivate people and inspire people to do something that might seem unachievable, and then like you prove yourself and other people wrong, and then that just gives you motivation to keep doing bigger things and stuff. And because I mean, and that's how I really started. And then I started seeing how more and more people that I would talk about running, they would start running, and like how I've affected other people's lives and left an impact in their life. Because that's literally the only way you can leave a legacy behind, is the impact that you leave on other people's lives. And just telling myself all the time, like, okay, we gotta finish. Like the only way we're not finishing this marathon is if I can no longer move my legs. So I think we spent 5 miles, no, yeah, 4.5 miles in the military island, and that was so hard. It felt forever. It felt like I was there for 2 hours, and I just wanted to be over. Like I'm like, I kept, like I would cross a mile marker, and I'm like, okay, just 4 more miles, and then we're done. And then like I would run. It felt like forever, and then the next mile marker, I was like, okay, 3 more miles, and like that. And then at one point, an old lady was, because in that island there's some neighborhoods from like people that are part of the military, and an old lady comes, she's in her yard, and she's like, hey, do you need me to call someone, you know are you okay and everything. And I'm like, thank you so much, but I'm okay, like I'll finish this, thank you. And I just kept running, well, walking slash jogging slash screaming in agony and pain. And the entire time I was just telling myself, I'm like, not every race is going to be a perfect race. Not every race is going to go the way you want it. Some races are going to be for setting personal bests and, qualifying for marathons and stuff like that. Other races are going to be a mental challenge, and some races are going to be for learning. And that's how I had to, that's the way that I talked myself through pretty much through the last 6 miles. And then once I reached the 26-mile mark, I'm like, okay, final stretch. And then we walked, so we crossed a bridge to get to the military island, and then a bridge to get out of the military island. And then we're in Moline, in downtown Moline. And I'm like, okay, we're here. This is the final stretch. As soon as I made it down to the street level, I just like stopped, walked a little bit, and I'm like, okay, like we're just gonna run it. Forget about the pain, forget about everything else. We're just gonna run it. Leave it all on the pavement, and everything will be okay. And I just started running, and then like I limping, and like I have the video of me. Well, my friends recorded me running towards the finish line, and I'm just like just trying to. At one point, it wasn't even like running. I was just like moving my arms, trying to get some momentum going. I crossed the finish line, and I just felt like relieved that I was done, but I was also very discouraged. And I because like my head went into very dark places, and as soon as I crossed the half marathon marker, my head went into the darkest places I had ever been to in a long time. And it was a constant battle to try and get myself out of thinking that badly about myself, where I was like, you're so weak. This is what you get for trying to do things that you shouldn't be doing, and all that stuff. But like, I had to fight myself out of that mental state, because I'm like, no, like, I can't do this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the time. Right now, our goal is to finish this. I don't care if it takes me 6 hours. I don't care if it takes me 7 hours, but I'm going to finish this no matter what. And I look at the time, and it says 5 hours and 6 minutes. And that was like another like, just like low blow, I guess. And I was just like, I got the medal, and I just like went on my knees and like started crying a little bit, because I was just so disappointed in myself. Because, like I said, every time I sign up for a race, in my subconscious is wanting to, before everything that unfolded in Quad Cities, in my subconscious, it's always the setting a personal best in every race. Obviously, that's not the case, and it should be leaving everything on the race. And now that I look back on it, I can proudly say that I left it all in the race. And like I wasn't even playing music or anything, and like I could see people talking and everything, and like I just couldn't hear anything. I don't know if it was because I was so tired or what, but I just like felt like I was looking around and I just like couldn't hear anything. It was just like buzzing sounds. And then like, that sound when you're just like you just hear a ding, and then it's like, and you just like hear like nothing. Well, yeah, you can't hear anything. That's exactly what I felt. And then like I just saw like my girlfriend and my friends like talking to me, but I couldn't hear them. And then because I don't know if I was so out of it or what, but then it was just like I was visibly, I could tell I was visibly sad and disappointed in myself. And like I had a knot in my throat, and like they were trying to like, we're so proud of you, like you did so good. And then like I was just like, no, like I don't even deserve this medal. Like, no, it's like, and I felt bad for them, because like, like they made the effort to see me like every so often, to check in on me, and like, like I didn't want to feel like they wasted their time and all that stuff. And then like one of my friends just said like, hey, like we're very proud of you, because you were sick for like the past month, and you were dealing with injuries, and like you said it, that you are not at your 100%, and you if anything you're barely at your 70%. And like you were able to finish it, and 5 hours is not bad. Like you limped, you pretty much crawled yourself through the finish line. And I was like, like trying to put it into perspective. And then like I'm honestly very thankful that they were there for me, because I don't know what would have happened if I would have been by myself and that was the outcome of the race. Because I know for a fact that my head would have gone to a very negative place, but them being there just helped me forget about pretty much the entire race, and just like forget about it, and like, okay, it's just another race. And then like all I was trying to focus on is like, what did I learn in this race that I can apply to future races and future training plans, and like how am I gonna change my training. Like now whenever I see the medal, and this is what I think this is the only medal that I actually have visibly for me to see whenever I go out of my house and stuff like that. And like I want the medal for me to signify like, okay, this Quad Cities is probably without a doubt the hardest race I've ever ran. So I want that to be like, every time I see it, it's like this reminder of like, hey, you were able to do this, like finish it when both of your legs were cramping, and like, like you weren't even at your 100%, and yet you still managed, you forced yourself to the finish line. and like remember everything from that race that you can change and apply moving forward to your life, to running, to whatever you want to achieve. And like I've been writing in my notes. I haven't really journaled about the race yet, but because I wanted to like digest everything and stuff. But I've been writing on my phone. It's just like how I like whenever I start thinking about the race, like how I felt and like everything that I can learn from it and stuff, and like what I can change in my training plan and everything, and adapting and stuff. And like I feel like this was like a wake up call for me to tell me like, hey, not every race is going to be about setting personal bests. Some races are just going to be a race where you learn something, like it's only a loss if you don't learn from it. And as cliche as that sounds, it's true, because this race, as much as I say that it was a waste of time or something like that, it wasn't, because I learned a lot about who I am as a person, and like what I'm able to achieve when I set my mindset to something. And I learned what I should do moving forward with running, and how to tackle a training camp, or how to adapt my training plans and all that stuff. And it also, I learned how thankful I am for my friends and my family. When I told my parents how it went, my dad, he sent me a very heartfelt message, and like I started tearing up, because I'm like, like in the moment I saw like my performance in the race as something negative, but seeing how even though I feel like I performed negatively, it had a positive impact on other people's lives. And I feel like I feel like in a way it was meant to happen that way. Like I know not everything is always going to be perfect, or not everything is going to go the way that I want it to go, but it's all about, adapting and learning to go with whatever comes your way, and, just being able to go with it and not really let it bring you down. And just like seeing the impact that it had on my parents and my friends and everything, like it really helped me feel a lot better about how I performed in the race, because I feel like from the darkest times is when the best things come from. Because obviously if I would have been able to do a personal best, I would probably have been like bragging about it, like, yeah, like I barely had any training, and I was able to do a 4:15 marathon under 4:15, like whatever, like I'm so good and all that stuff. But if anything, this just brought my ego way down, and I'm very thankful for it. And also like, this is something that I had just learned in the past year, because honestly, kind of like, this is on the topic of like my birthday and everything. This past year was very hard, like obviously being an adult and still adapting to living by myself, but also like everything that transpired in 2023 was life changing. And I'm very thankful that to have the friends that I have now. And I'm very thankful for my girlfriend. I'm very thankful for my family. I'm very thankful for the people that I have met and that are in my close circle, because they're the reason why I am where I am today. And they're the reason why I was able to finish the marathon. And yeah, it's just like I always try to be thankful and like put things into perspective, that there's some things that are big and that are bigger than me. And that was not a direct reference to Louis Tomlinson, by the way, but there's some things that are bigger than me, and like there's really not much that I can do about it, but other than know that I'm not alone in the stuff that I'm signed up to do. Even if people are not participating directly with me, I know that I have the support. I have a great support system. And yeah, it's just it's in life, like with my friends and everything, the way that I see things is like I'm as strong as the strongest member in my team, and sometimes I feel like I'm the weakest one in my team. So I feel like it's up to me to, get at their level. That way I can be a better version of myself or something like that. But yeah, and then, like after the race, I was sore. Like I could barely bend down without cramping, and like I could barely tie my shoes and stuff. And like I felt like I had tore a quad or something in my right leg, because I was definitely compensating with my right leg since I'm right leg dominant. And then Monday and Tuesday, my ankle was really hurting. Wednesday, I was like, okay, like I have to. I wasn't even able to stretch out as much because like it was just so sore and I could barely move my legs. But on Wednesday, I was like, okay, like my ankle's really hurting and I should go get it checked to see if I don't have an ankle sprain or something like that. And then I went to the PT yesterday and I explained to him everything, and he's like, sorry. And he just explained, like he was surprised that I was able to run 13 miles while cramping up so often. And then he like checked my foot and my leg and to make sure that, I didn't have any sprains or any tore ligaments, or, like I hadn't tore any muscles or anything like that, or I didn't have any stress fractures on my foot or anything. And then he's like, do you feel this? And I'm like, no, it's just normal. Like, like, and then like he checked for stress fractures and nothing, and like ligaments, like I could move my ankle without any pain or anything. I'm like, most of the pain that I feel is like whenever I'm walking for too long, like like my ankle starts hurting and my foot started hurting, but I know that that's just because like it's just like muscle fatigue. And he's like, yeah, no, that's what it is. Like your ankle is just, your feet are still recovering from pretty much exerting so much energy while you were cramping up and still trying to move. And then he had a picture of a foot on the back, and he explained how cramps work, how your muscles tense, and then that makes your ligaments tense, and then that's attached to your bones and stuff. And he's like, I'm surprised that you went that far with cramping up and stuff, and you don't have a single injury, because you could have easily had a stress fracture, you could have easily sprained an ankle, you could have easily tore your quad or your Achilles or your calf or something, but your feet and your legs are fine. Like they're just weak and tense because you're still recovering from the race. And I'm like, really? So I was, and I kind of told him like how, because he was the same PT that saw me when I got injured in February of this year. And he was like, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I feel like the stuff that you gave me last time, I was able to apply it, and that really helped me out during this training camp. And it kind of explained what I want to do with running now. Like that, instead of, because I have 3 levels in my running. It's either intense, moderate, or easy. And instead of going easy and then picking it up to intense when I'm in training camp, I'll go moderate and then just like pick it up into intense for like a short amount of time before the marathon. That way it's not that much of like a 180 into like my running when it's like leading up to a race. And he's like, no, that if anything, that's smarter of you, because the older you get and the more mileage you put on your legs, your ligaments and your muscles are going to start suffering more and more. But you're taking care of your body and everything, so like you should be fine. Just incorporate these exercises into your routine and stuff, and like start taking ice baths, especially after runs that you go over the hour, so like 6 miles or above and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, like I'll start doing that and stuff. And then he's like, I'm still in shock that you just didn't get any injury. You don't have any injuries and you're fine. You can walk fine. And he's like, just to be safe, take until you're pain free 2 to 3 days. Don't start running. And when you start running, take it easy, and if you have pain or discomfort, just like give me a call, and like I'll help you out and stuff. Like I can give you some stuff to do, or you can come in and like, if you want to do physical therapy or stuff. And I'm like, okay, like thank you so much. And then like as soon as I get to my car, I'm like, damn, call me forward because I'm built tough. But I know that was cringe, but in the moment it was pretty funny and I laughed. But yeah, I mean, hearing it from an expert that I am built different, it kind of like surprises me. Well, I've known I'm built different, but the fact that I'm very thankful that I don't have any serious injuries and stuff. Like now I feel like I can walk without any soreness on my legs and stuff, because like. And I'm thankful that where I work, I walk a lot, so it's not like I've been just sitting down for a whole week. Like I've been walking around and stuff. So it is until now that like my legs are no longer sore and stuff. So now I'm gonna start, going into the like starting doing mobility and stuff again, and like progressively getting more and more active and stuff. Cause I was so tense and like sore that I was afraid that if I started stretching, I could pull something and then it could get worse. So I was just like, I'm just gonna like, take my time, chill for a little bit, and then we'll pick it up once we feel good and stuff. And yeah, so that was a recap of Quad Cities. Here's the medal. It's actually like, I like it because it's like obvious what the marathon was. It says it clear. And I purposely do have it in my living room, so like whenever like I leave my house, like I can see it. And I was checking to see if there were any photos of the race. It's supposedly supposed to be released on the 1st of October. So hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I'll be able to see them and make a post on the race. If not, then if I don't have any, I'll still make a post probably like on Sunday. So hopefully by the time this releases, there will be an Instagram post already. So, follow my socials at Javi_Sierra. Follow the podcast at Pretty Decent Pod. Follow the Spotify, Pretty Decent with Javier Sierra. And follow the YouTube channel, Pretty Decent with Javier Sierra. But before I wrap it up, I really do want to give thanks to my friends, my girlfriend, who, went to the race with me and were at different mile markers and were supporting me throughout the entire 5 hours. And just, they really mean a lot to me, and they really made me put everything into perspective with what happened and see it in a different point of view. And, I want to thank my family because they were supporting me from afar. And I also I want to thank the race, because that race really showed me something new about myself that I didn't know I had in me, and just helped me put everything into perspective with my life and, running and everything. So yeah, that was a recap of Quad Cities. Pretty eventful day for me. I'll definitely never forget this race. And, when I first finished it, I was like, screw that, I'm not running this race again. But now that I like settled into it and like let the thoughts marinate and the event marinate and everything, I'm like, you know what, like I'll do Quad Cities again. I'll prove to myself that I can finish this race and do better than the first time. And that's really all I can do. But because life is about being better than the day before, and trying and striving to be a better person, whether it be in running, whether it be in engineering, whether it be in baking, cooking, whatever you do in life, it's all about striving to be a better person and a better version of you. But anyway, I hope you were able to learn something from, my eventful marathon. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, leave a like, review the podcast, and yeah, thank you so much for joining me for another episode. Now that stuff has dialed down a little bit, I think I'll be able to do weekly episodes, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, hopefully I go back to running and making, because I want to make running content. I wasn't really able to do any running content while I was training, but I want to start doing that again because I really did enjoy making the videos. But anyway, thank you so much for everything, and I'll catch you guys real soon with a new episode. This was pretty decent. My name is Javier Sierra, and I'm very honored to have been your host for this episode. Take care, guys, and I'll see you guys real soon. Peace.